and welcome to the Lamar University First Gen Virtual College Celebration. This special event was created to celebrate, encourage, and inspire our first generation students as they navigate their academic journey at Lamar. I'm Dr. Janelle White, Assistant Professor of Family Science here at Lamar, and I'm going to serve as your moderator for today's event. Thank you to the First Gen Connections Advisory Council for creating a space for us to celebrate our first gen superstars who are here with us today. I'm so excited to introduce today's panelists. So let's begin with Shaquita Babin. Shaquita is a proud first generation non traditional college student currently pursuing a Bachelor of Science degree in Family Science at Lamar University. Um, she serves as a DMC coordinator for her local school district, where she encourages her students daily to strive to reach their full potential by making better choices. Our next panelist is Celine Doe, who is a proud first gen Lamar alumna, earning both her BBA and MBA at Lamar. She currently works at Baptist Hospitals of Southeast Texas as an HR generalist and loves to give back to the university that helped mold her to the professional she is today. Celine loves to spend time with family and friends, reading, and traveling in her spare time. Next up, we have Andre Favors, who is an instructor in the Department of Communication and Media at Lamar University. He is a first gen and has been involved in first gen efforts here at LU for the past several years. Andre is known for his passion in supporting his students and often serves as a mentor for undergraduate researchers. We're going to get started with our first question. So, the question is, as an undergraduate student, did you always know what degree you wanted to earn? Did you change majors? And how did this influence your experience in school? Let's start with Andre first.
Um, Sort of. I was in communication the whole time, and I started in public relations, and then my advisor told me that they really encouraged you to pursue a minor in business. Sorry, Celine, and that turned me off completely because I knew that I didn't want anything to do with business, and so I switched to kind of a more general communication track, interpersonal organizational communication, and then kind of stuck with communication throughout my degrees. So did it affect anything? Not really, because I stayed within the same major. I was required to have a minor, but I changed that up a little bit too. But it didn't. The choice of major didn't affect my timeliness for graduation. That was other stuff that kind of delayed my path. But yeah, but I was happy that I had people that could target and tell me, and we had a lot of options for minors and flexibility in the particular degree area and department that I was in. So the answer is yes, sort of, just once, like after my first semester.
Thank you. Let's hear from Celine.
Okay, so yes,
Mm.
I did change majors. I had so in the beginning I thought I wanted to pursue something in healthcare. So I started off as a biology pre-med and then I switched to pre-nursing, thinking I'd go to nursing school. And then I finally landed with management information systems in the College of Business. And so it's just kind of I don't it's your school journey is not linear. And so it I started off doing something in healthcare because it was just kind of expected of me. Uh just as an Asian American, we kind of pursue things that are in healthcare or something more uh or lucrative because generally our parents they just wanted us to have a better life and do something that could provide better for our future. And so I went that route, not knowing any really other, I didn't even consider anything else until I got to college. And I was doing pre-nursing at the time, and then was kind of waiting and then waiting to hear back from the program. But and I added a minor to take some because I needed to stay full time, and I thought that business would be a good one. And I eventually nurse school just didn't work out the way I expected, and I switched over to the College of Business, and eventually graduated finally. I finished in 6 years. My and so, but it like I said, your journey's not linear all the time, and that's okay because it took me longer, but I don't regret what it was a learning opportunity, and I took that, and it helped me kind of just I figured out what I wanted to do, and I'm here. So took a long way, but it was a good journey.
You, Shaquita, what about you?
So for me, it's funny because I thought I wanted to, be in the field as well. So many years ago, that's where I started and my son. So I wind up just dedicated to, just being in the work. And it wasn't into probably about 20 years later, maybe 15, 17. It's close to, but finally, my son gotten older and he's like, Mom, graduate from college? And I was like, well, no, but I went, but I didn't finish. So he actually challenged me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back. I'm going to find something I love. I'm going to go back to healthcare. So 20 years later, I'm like, okay, healthcare is what I like. And I had family members that were in the, it was just like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. But I realized I wasn't cut out for that life. So I just decided I started in a school and several things I did. I started working for like the Harris County Engineering Department here in the Houston area. And there was no fulfillment in it. It was the boringest thing. It wasn't something that I was passionate about. And I had a friend to tell me, come work at a school. And I'm like, a school to teach? Like, work for me. But I tried it anyway, and it's the most fulfilling thing. And everyone's like, to school, just finish, get your bachelor's and all of that. So I was like, I want something. I'm really big on people and strengthening communities and a family studies program. And as I was looking for the different courses, I'm like, ooh, I would like that one. Okay, that sounds like something I'm interested in. And here I am. So I most definitely took a long time to figure out what it is that I wanted to do. But I'm so grateful that I found the program. I found why, things like that. So I'm really grateful. And I have one more semester to go.
Yay.
I will be officially, finally graduated with a bachelor. So I'm really excited about it. So it doesn't, like you said, it's most definitely not linear. Sometimes you'll change your mind. You'll take one class and you'll think like, oh no, this is not for me. I'm going to try something else. And, so I just say stick to it and know what, it's never too late. Just keep going. Don't stop.
Thank you all. It sounds like one of the themes is that you were each open to exploring and the path didn't necessarily look like what you thought it was going to look like, but you kind of embraced that and to help you figure out where you wanted to get to. That's awesome. So the next question is, was your family supportive of your goal to earn a college degree? And what supports or barriers did your family offer? Let's start with Celine first.
Okay, so I was always encouraged to go to college. That was the goal. Finish high school and then go to college. And but my mom didn't really know, or myself, I didn't really know what that looked like. She didn't go to college, she didn't even finish high school. So it was kind of I mean, I had cousins too around my age, and we're kind of just all figuring it out together. But so we were different, like majors, like we're all very separated, like, and they kind of went off and did their own thing. I did my thing. And so, I mean, for the most part, yes, my mom was supportive of me going to school, but me trying to figure out financial aid, things like that, it was kind of a learning curve for me because was like, what is a FAFSA? You have to fill that scary out, like it's a very long form, and you have to get your parents' information, and so it was a challenge for me. yeah, although my mom was encouraging me to pursue higher education, it was difficult at times because I really didn't know what next steps were. Because I heard like registration, I'm like, oh my gosh, well, I have to register for classes next semester. And so, you got to find your advisor, and it was just learning all those things and navigating through your freshman year, even your sophomore year was kind of, well, but I did have friends also with me that, if we try to help each other as much as possible. So it was we're learning together, and we try to take classes together. That way we had each other for support. But family wise, it was just kind of me just trying to figure things out on my own.
You. Shaquita, want to share?
So for me, early on, like after high school, when I tried to go to college, like you said, it was very intimidating. And neither my mom or my father, went anything past high school. My mom didn't finish. My dad finished high school, but my mom didn't. So, like you said, Celine, it was one of those things. So yes, I want you to go and be great, but I don't know how to help you get there, and I don't know what to do when So for me, it was kind of discouraging, and tried like a semester, and like I said, that really didn't work out for me. I had my son, and so I just jumped straight into the workforce. Now, I decided to go back to school maybe within like the last 5 years. Life looks different. Now I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and all those different things. And I have to work and I have to do this, but it was still something that I wanted to fulfill on my own. And my family, as I call it, new family, meaning my husband and my children. My husband, he has, graduated a lot of times, from colleges and like that. So he's like, if that's what you want to do it. He was very supportive. Kids were very encouraging. They cheer me on. They're like out the door clapping now. Like they're always in the back, like, Mom, like you can do it. Like we're proud of you. How is your grades? My 9-year-old all the time, Mom, can I see your report card? Things like that. And when I show him, he's like, whoa, you're smart. It makes me feel good. But at the same time, I just love to have that support that I have now that I didn't have back then. But I do have the support now from, my husband, my kids, and things like that. So it's been great.
That's awesome that they're outside the door cheering for you right now. That's amazing. Andre, would you like to answer next?
So, yeah, my experience is kind of blended with Shakita and Celine. So, my parents are divorced, and I'm estranged from my mother. But my dad was very supportive. He started out at LSU and then dropped out, and then took a long time to go back to school. He happened to go back to school when I was already in school at a different school, thank goodness. But it was kind of like I was the motivation for him to go back to school and get a 2 year degree at McNeese and Lake Charles. Um, my dad was always very supportive, and Celine, like you said, he always, you need to go to college. That's a given, and it always was like that. He had some knowledge, but not a lot, but he was supportive. And then I kind of was supportive when he was in school too, and so he'd ask me to look over like his English 1301 paper and things like that. And so it was kind of an interesting dynamic. And then I ended up going. I was at UL Lafayette, and then I was struggling some, so I moved back home and went to McNeese for a bit. So my dad was supportive to let me be home and work that out. And then my dad got his degree, and then he passed away soon after. So when that happened, I ended up not being in school for a bit. It took me 7 years, so like 6 years technically, and I had 1 year completely off, where I was to finish my undergrad. And so for me, it was my partner who helped me get back into paying off what I owed at UL Lafayette to get back there because I realized that McNeese wasn't the right fit. So I wanted to go back to where I had started and wanted to finish there. And so I was able to get back with the help of my partner to kind of encourage me to take care of the business. He helped me pay down some things, and then I was able to get back in and do the FAFSA stuff and all of that. So I had a varying kinds of support, and then I was having to support my parent too while he was in college at the same time. So it was kind of an interesting dynamic. So I kind of get Shakita. It's like being the kid trying while you're in school, doing it for yourself too. So it was interesting. But I'm glad that my dad was there and how he was able to support me. And then in my master's thesis, I dedicated it to his memory because my project was kind of related to some things that he was interested in or that we had kind of shared in common. But yeah, so I did have some parental support, but then I had to be kind of on my own and figure it out too, and get support from others outside of my traditional family.
It sounds like kind of one of the commonalities is um, the language, right? Like knowing what the terminology is. Like Celine mentioned the FAFSA. What is this crazy FAFSA thing? And knowing who to ask and um, to be able to access those resources, which kind of leads to the next question, which is who or what filled in some of those gaps for support during your academic journey? Let's start with Shaquita.
Well, I would honestly say my husband. He's most definitely, been the backbone of this thing. Like, hey, whatever you decide to do, we're going to figure it out. If we have to put it in payments, if I have to cover this for you while you try to do this. So it was very, very, I realized I was very blessed at that point because I really didn't have to figure it out on my own. I finally had someone that had my back and was like, okay, you pay for a class, I'll pay for a class. If you want to take two classes, I'll pay for one, you pay for the other. Or, different things like that to really help when I realized even now, still not knowing a lot of the terminology and things like that over the summer. I was like, oh, I'm going to take classes over the summer. And they're like, well, you have to pay for them. You pick three, so you're paying for them. And I'm like, oh, wait. I'm like, I can't do a fast food. I can't do this. And they're like, no. So I told my husband, I was like, hey, this is what I need. And he's like, okay, don't drop your classes. We're keeping you on track to graduate when you said you wanted to graduate. So it just worked out. And I was very grateful, for that. So that's been my biggest support has been my husband.
Yeah. Andre, you want to go next?
Oh, sure. So as I mentioned, my partner was a big help to getting me back and kind of getting me complete and across the finish line for my undergrad. But I will also say that I started in the honors program, and so being having a space in the honors program and meeting other people like me that were LGBTQ and a little different was helpful and supportive. I will say that when I returned, I built a pretty good cohort of people who weren't necessarily that I started with, but were kind of at the same area in the department that I was, and they were really helpful. And then there were some faculty. I will say when I kind of dropped off, there were some faculty who I didn't take advantage of it, but I kind of ghosted, and they gave me incompletes without like talking to me, and they kind of saw what I was doing, but were willing to give me a chance to kind of take up that offer if I wanted to. But there were faculty who like encouraged me to come back and when I got back were like really happy to see me and encouraged me to go to grad school in the program too. And so between cohort peers and my partner and faculty at UL Lafayette, I had people who could fill in the gaps of being persistent.
Hey, Celine, you ready?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I had friends they're also first gen students too. So we were on the struggle bus together, and so we helped each other kind of get through that and work things out. And we would remind each other, hey, go register for your advising appointment or whatever it may be. And we just kind of kept each other on track. And then one year also like kind of towards it was like fall 15 leading into spring 16. I found other a student organization that kind of helped me. And I don't know if any of them were first gen, but regardless, I did find another support system there. And I started my student assistant job at the undergraduate advising center where I was surrounded by advisors who knew all the resources the campus had. And so Andre being one of them, we worked together. So it was a little mixture of like, I had my friends that we struggled with together and we supported each other and helped each other figure things out. And then I also had the other resources of the staff from the UAC, and they just kind of helped, they were very positive and encouraging. We helped, friends and I helped each other get through school. And so it's just kind of a mixture of people. So outside of, my friends, and I did have the support of Lamar University staff members to help me along the way too.
Yeah, I think finding staff members and faculty members and building that kind of relationship where they can be your ally, they can be your support, I think can be so important. So I'm glad you had that. So I think we'll pause here and see if any of our guests have any questions for our panelists. Y'all want to know anything?
I have a question.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay.
I would like to know, like, as we're speaking about resources and faculty members, okay, for us, like, I'm a first-time generation student, and I'm also a online student, like strictly online, and even like my previous colleges, they've been online as well. And now that I'm really getting into my area of focus, which I have chosen family science, like what other resources, like did you guys use any resources other than the school? Like, I know the school can be a very great resource, but like I'm way in Richmond, Beaumont is kind of far, so that I can be able to participate and get involved with activities, or like, is there anything that you guys would recommend that I could do, like to get involved?
Chiquita, what's up?
Well, the funny thing is, that's my story as well, and has been completely online and full-fledged online student. And I'm in Cypress, Texas. So when you say, I was telling them before, like, so many amazing things happen in Beaumont, but I'm so, like I won't be able to get. One thing that I would suggest is, in my mind, I turn my professors into my besties. I ask the most questions. I know Professor White is probably like sick of me, but I have no other resources, or like, for me, she's the. So if I have a question, no matter what it's about, I'm going to go to her. Okay, well, reach out to this person, or reach out to, this person, and things like that. So that I really suggest, don't be afraid of your professors. Reach out to them, talk to them, the things that I love. You said family science. We'll have, a lot of classes with Professor Wallet and Dr. White and things like that. So use those opportunities, success hours and things like that sometime, and just be like, hey, I'm here. Don't forget, what's going on.
Yeah.
Is there any? Always speak up for yourself. Don't be afraid of questions, and utilize answers. And even some of the TAs, the assistants,
Right.
well, so I everybody, if I get them on a phone, a camera, that's what you ask a lot. They can, and sometimes they are virtual as well, that you can all go in and you can see. Like I said, I've been to several other, and this is the first program I've ever been in, and the first school that I to where I felt included and under no, like, sometimes I'll fade out in the background of the, like, yeah, I'm not going here anymore. I'm gonna find it. I would do things like that to where here,
Right.
like, they see you, they know you, they hear you, so you're a part. So that's something that I really. So I think you picked a great program. Just
Thank
talk to
you.
them.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And for those who end up watching this who are not part of the family science program, there's plenty of other faculty on campus who are there and who want student success. And so I would say not only if you are in my program to reach out, but also um, reach out to the faculty you have in whatever program you happen to be in, because many of them are passionate, but they can't connect with you unless you want to connect with them also. And I think that
Okay.
really can make a big difference. When it comes to writing letters of recommendation, if we've only seen you in class and don't have a relationship with you, it's really hard to write a fantastic letter of recommendation. Um,
Right.
and then Andre was talking about like research, and I know he mentors students all the time with McNair and with the undergraduate research office and other programs. And it's really hard to have a mentor if they don't know who you are. We can't just
Mhm.
kind of make it up in our minds, but if you have an interest, reach out, make those connections with your faculty, because we may know about programs and want to help support you in that, but if we don't know you're interested, we can't do that.
To add to that, in terms of research, we have the McNair Scholars Program, which is open. It has some requirements, but first gen and low income, or first gen and underrepresented graduate school, you have to be wanting to get a PhD or a graduate degree, and that's research oriented. They have had online only students participate. The Office of Undergraduate Research offers a lot of different programs, and online only students can apply for the grants, but you can also attend the conference. So like they have a conference every semester, and they also allow Zoom participation in those and watching. There's some services that I think are still being offered online too, like the Writing Center has online support. We have online tutoring. We
Mhm.
I know a student group in my department that's film production based, but they go through Discord and they record all of our meetings and allow participants, even if you aren't there physically, to still participate. So I think where you don't see online options or hybrid options, ask. And then with student groups, I think most student groups are being more open to realizing that they need to have hybrid meetings or that kind of thing. But like what Dr. White was saying, we don't know if you don't bring it up. And so if there's something you want to do, in a lot of cases, we have an online option. Or if we don't, we can try to set that up or make sure that you're included.
Okay. Very good information. Thank you as well.
Alyssa, did you have a question? Let me know. Okay, so we will go on to my next question. So, for our panelists, what are some specific strategies for success that you would offer to other first gen or non traditional students? Let's start with Andre.
Hmm. For first gen students, I think be willing to ask questions. Realize that don't think in terms of deficits. Think about what being first gen means. It's that you are persisting. You do have drive. You do want to get this done. You may have some support, even though they may not understand what you're going through. You may have some support or be able to find support. Um, Ask questions, find resources. Sometimes you have to build things on your own, and that can be difficult. But I feel like first gen folks are pretty good about that. If there isn't something, asking about it and trying to find it. For non-traditional students, I think being aware that you add a lot of strength to to like for traditional age students. I think having that perspective is really valuable. And I've had some non-traditional students say, like, I don't want to speak up because I feel like I'll take up the whole space in the whole room, and I don't want to do that. But I think that that your voice is really important, and don't be afraid to speak up, because what your perspective is valuable in the classroom setting. I always appreciate when I have non-traditional students in my class because I feel it adds value. But we want you to be willing to share your knowledge, and usually the traditional students really appreciate that too. So ask questions, find resources, find people who can help build things if you don't have that resource. And then for non-traditional folks, feel comfortable in the space, and be willing to share your perspective with people who might be a lot younger.
Before we shift over, excuse me, to Salim to answer, Dr. Jackson put in the chat, Dr. Greg Olson in the Writing Center, or is
Hmm.
the director of the Writing Center, and she says he's amazing and a great resource. So that would definitely be kind of another strategy to throw in there. Salim, what are some of the strategies you would suggest for success?
Kind of following along what Andre has said, asking questions. I think part of being a first-gen students, we're so, afraid to, be outspoken and do all the things because we don't really know what to expect. But I always tell, at least when I was working at the university, with first-gen students to get comfortable being uncomfortable because you're going to be in uncomfortable situations all the time. And that's just part of being a first-gen student and just really part of life. And so while, some of the struggles that we do go through, I think it makes us stronger. And not being afraid to like stepping up and like joining organizations that might be hard for some people if you're kind of introverted and don't really want to go talk to people. And that's how I was. And so, but it allows you to grow and flourish in ways that you wouldn't expect. And so that is just kind of part of, growth and development. And so I do encourage students to always try new things and explore what their interests are. And because you never know what you like if you or don't like if you don't try. And so doing kind of things that scare you may have a big impact. But to add on to that, I would encourage you to find a mentor if you can, whether it's a faculty member or a staff member. And so I know that's kind of, again, kind of hard to just go up to somebody like, hey, like to build a relationship and kind of just find someone you're comfortable to talk with. And that may take a while, but you'll figure it out if you find a faculty member that you're really comfortable with and say, hey, I would really like some additional support if you can offer me any. And so whenever I was working as an academic advisor, I would do like these info sheets with students, and one of them, like, I always have like, what can I do to best support you? And they just randomly put in there, can you be my mentor? And I was just like, yeah, sure, like whatever you need. And so, like, Dr. White's like, you never, faculty don't know. And so I always say, closed mouths don't get fed. And so you just got to speak up for yourself and be advocate. And then just finding that's hard. And that's just part of learning as a student and especially first gen. But that's kind of my take on that. But also for non-traditional students, Shaquita and Catherine. It looks like y'all are both online students. I don't know. This is a great way for people to network and connect. I think many family studies or family science students are online. And so I think y'all can create some sort of support group among yourselves, whether, y'all have a group message or have virtual meetings like this to kind of see what y'all can do to support each other because y'all aren't, traditional students are online. And so I think that would be kind of something you could start and kind of just kind of help each other. That's just my thought with that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
That's an
Shaquita.
awesome idea.
Love that you said that about just so I with them earlier that for I guess non-traditional, we do have like a group chat where we literally, we're there to support each other, and that's what we do. And the fact that I'm like like, hey guys, let's make it out the group chat, where I have right now people from like Houston, Rich, Maryland, like they're coming from all over, and we're acting at the football game today. He's taking a trip to Beaumont. So we're all going to be this evening, well, this afternoon, and so excited when Professor White asked this. I was like, oh, I'm going to the game. Going with I'm going to meet everybody finally. I'm going to the game. So that's something, that I wanted us to do, because as a traditional student, you may feel like, one, oh, I've had this, or like, oh, I'm to go to the football game. And it's like, that's not, you can get a ticket too. Like, everybody's invited, so it's just to really pull everybody together, support and decompress it, because everybody's so locked down with the and things like that, to where we finally something that we would say is just fun. We get to be students, go on campus and things. So most definitely, you know, lock in. You're probably in one of the groups as well, but just lock in, lean on each and just be a support for non-traditional students on each other and be a support for each other. For first gen, I would say that was one of the things, like you guys said, just ask the question. Don't overthink it. Just ask, even if you have to ask multiple times and understand when they told you the first time, ask again. But for non-traditional, I love it because I am one of the ones in the class, to where when we're doing a discussion and it's like they'll ask, like one of the I took, it was like a child class, and they're like, have you ever had any experience with this? And I'm like, oh, I did that for 18 years. She's talking about where the students are like, I don't know about, never raised a kid, or I don't know about the adults. I was doing that right now, so you kind of use it as a, it doesn't make it easier, but for me, being here now, it's like, oh my God, everything finds sense. And one of White's classes, we had to read a book, I have a teenager. So the book hit for me because I'm reading and I'm like, that's what's them, like everything. Just, and so most definitely, and ask questions, lots of questions. Just always ask questions, and find support groups, some of chats and things like that. And they can be very popular and they can help support as well.
So the next question I'm going to ask to everyone who's here, both panelists and our participants. We'll start with, I guess, Celine first. But the question is, what can the university do to better support first-gen students?
I think right now the university is good about they're having the step in the right direction on and I've been with Lamar so long now. And at the beginning, first gen students weren't really talked about. And so, I mean, I didn't even realize what a first gen student was until probably later on when I was like my fourth year in, maybe. And so I think now the university is getting a lot better on highlighting first gen students, and talking about what first gen generation means. And right now we're doing the first gen celebration week. I think yes, it's good to highlight during that week. Maybe I was like, but maybe let's continue to do that more throughout the year and not just a week. Maybe, we can do something in the fall and spring, just to kind of keep that momentum going and not let it, I guess, die down so much. Because while we don't want to get forgotten either. And so it's just like we want to be able to find resources and feel like we are supported as a student. And so I feel like let's continue that trend on, let's continue speaking more about first generation, and that way people can have a better understanding. Because I know there has been times a different panel, like, you know, people that aren't first gen faculty or staff, they ask like, how can we support first gen? So let's do more and let's kind of have that more, let's have an open dialogue and continue talking about first gen students, and so that way those students don't get left out or they continue to feel supported.
Great, thank you. Shaquita, what can Lamar do to support for?
Well, the funny thing is, I didn't know I was a first gen student until recently. So, like last week, maybe. Just to put it out there, just to put the information there, just so people can find it, just to make it accessible for your students. Like, campus, for first students, but what about your students that's online that would never been on campus? So just to make sure the information shared with the students on campus is also shared with the students that's, 100% online, just to, pretty much to keep them informed, let them know what they qualify for and things like that. Is because like I said, for me, I had no idea I was a first gen student because I didn't think I was. My sister, which is way younger, she graduated college, she did it the traditional way. She went after high school, things like that. So because my sister went to college, I was a gen. I didn't know that it was based on if parents went or not. So when, Dr. White asked me, I was like, oh, are you sure? I don't want to be fraudulent. Are you sure I'm a first? So it was really cool out, that I was a first gen student. It actually made me appreciate it even more. So where it's like, wow, like I'm really doing something great. Like, so for me, that was one of the things, just to have the information and sometimes use words with no definitions. So it's like we have all these acronyms and things like that. And it's like, I have no idea what's going on. I just wait for my name or ask questions, things like that. Just making sure the information that's available for the students on campus is available for the students as well that's online.
Thank you. Before I ask Andre to answer, I really want to kind of dig into what Shaquita just said. That I think that the identity, it sounds like you didn't have that identity, like you didn't claim that identity, and I think that's really common. Um, and so I would love for students to be able to claim the identities in which make them who they are, first gen included, right? And I think that that's maybe removing some of the mystery of what it is might be helpful. So thank you so much for your feedback. Andre, what would you like to offer?
Yeah, like y'all, I didn't know I was first gen until I started working in a university because I didn't know. I kind of knew because I did get a letter from McNair in undergrad that you're eligible and here's why. But sometimes you don't think about those things. But I think one piece is particularly for online folks. The other thing about person, different institutions, even within institutions, there's different definitions. The one that we usually use at Lamar is that neither of your parents or guardians got a 4-year degree in the United States. And so if your parents got a degree in Mexico or another international location, we still consider you first gen because you don't have the same kind of support that you would with traditional kind of college going family tradition. But other offices or other areas or other schools may have different definitions. But our first gen site that Dr. Jackson supports does have a clear definition. I think I've started kind of asking, well, if we can add a piece where are you first gen? And so like I asked the Office of Undergraduate Research for people submitting for abstracts if students could identify that, and they included the definition there that Dr. Jackson uses on her site so that everyone knows not only are you first gen, but it explains it out. I think faculty and staff, and I personally don't do this, but in email signatures, maybe we could have things that say first gen proud or first gen supporter or that kind of thing, because will have those things on our doors, but for online students that don't see our doors, then you don't have that kind of thing. So I think there's ways that we can make it more known. I think having new student orientation content that addresses first gen. I know online students sometimes have to do some orientation, but in those spaces to be sure that we also talk about first gen and defining it, and here's what we do at Lamar, and here are the supports that you have specific for first gen or low income students and that kind of thing. I'm with Celine. I think we do pretty good with programming, and with we do like a student of the month that we post that the university recognizes and that kind of thing. But I think making sure that the online students are also aware, and then trying to continue the conversations, and then having I've tried to do it, but like having content that is for faculty and staff that is training on how to support first gen students and that kind of thing, which I think we've done maybe once, but it's been a while. But trying to make sure that faculty and staff are also aware how Lamar defines first gen, how you can best support first gen students, whether face to face or online. And so I think those are pieces that we can work on, and I know that we are trying to work on.
Awesome. Thank you, Andre. So what about our guests? Does anyone have any suggestions on how the university can more effectively support first gen students?
I put it in the chat, but a couple of things as the panelists have been responding. We do have those first gen proud window clings. We gave some of those out like a couple of years ago, and perhaps we need to reorder some more of those and ask staff and faculty to put those in their windows because we had feedback that said, hey, students really enjoy knowing when my students come in for office hours, they really feel more comfortable knowing that I'm a first year student, and it helps us open up dialogue. So maybe that's a good suggestion. Maybe ordering more of those and disseminating across the campus again because we're out and we haven't done that in a while. Also, to Celine's point, you mentioned about supporting first gen, but also having non-first gen supporters as well. This is very important. And when we do say you give the definition um, for first gen students at Lamar University, or either someone says, well, hey, well, I'm not first gen, but I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. We always say, yeah, this program and what we do is for first gen students, but we also are very open to having input and participation from students who staff and faculty who support first gen as well. I don't believe it's just like something that first gen people, individuals who identify as first gen, this work is just way greater than that. We need everyone on board. So we need supporters, and we're glad to have supporters to come alongside us and first geners and help move things forward at Lamar University. Also, I want to give a big shout out to Janelle White. Um, this online platform, virtual platform, is getting a lot of recognition on the national level with our student affairs, NASPA. They are interested in how she put all of this together for first gen students because so many times first gen stu- online first gen students are uh, not being considered in the programming process. Also, admissions have reached out. They wanted to share this platform with several of their potential incoming students. And so I told them this is all Dr. White's and the panelists. This is their thing, and we're so proud to have them and so proud to have this platform. It's not a lot on the screen today, but I'm so happy that we're recording this because it won't be just a one-time thing. As Celine said, let's do things, not just now for first year college celebration, but this is something that we can use throughout the year to motivate first year students to get involved and also to increase our number of supporters.
Well, Dr. Jackson, thank you for your kind words. I certainly have loved being part of the advisory council. And, one of the things that she just mentioned was about the people who aren't first gen who are supporting. And that's really the role I'm in. I am not first gen, but so many of my students are that I really have gotten involved with the first gen advisory council to help provide support for the work that they're doing because it is so, so important. Um, Dr. Jackson, I had a thought. So for those window clings, I wonder if we can take the image of whatever the graphic is and turn that into like a what, a JPEG or a PNG file, and we can disseminate that for faculty who want to add it to their signature line. Maybe that would be an option, and that way it's a kind of a consistent design. I don't know, lots of things we can think about, but I appreciate you mentioning that a minute ago. So do either of our other guests have any suggestions or ideas for how the university can effectively support first-gen students?
I think this is a great first step. So I'm this is the first time I've actually been involved. Like I said, I've been to traditional colleges who you just submit work and oh well, they may have, like career counseling or setups after you finish, but nothing personal, like nothing where you can get involved. So this is very enlightening for me. Um, Very, very enlightening. So thank you. Thank you. And thank you to all of you who volunteered your time to share your stories and your struggles and your accomplishments, which are great. So thanks.
So I will go ahead. We have just a couple of minutes left, so I'll ask my final question for our panelists. And the final question is, what is your superpower? Let's start with Shaquita.
Superpower. I had to ask my husband because I was like, superpower, we kind of downplay ourselves. But one of the things, and I just asked other people that, I'm around a lot, and one of the things they told me the ability to be able to show empathy and also restoration would be my superpower. Because one of the things I do that just comes so natural to me that I'm able to connect with people on an emotional level and make them feel seen and heard and valued. So I feel like I can sense when people are struggling, I try to comfort, always encourage, and I'm always a listening ear. So that's just one of the things that I would say would be my superpowers would be, just empathy and restoration.
Wow. Celine, what is your superpower?
Kind of just going along with that, I would just say compassion, being compassionate towards other, and I try my best to kind of put I mean, I do my best to try to put myself in other people's shoes and try to be as helpful as I can, whether it is, whenever I was at the university, with students or other faculty and staff, but now working in human resources, in my role is helping other employees and such, trying to support them. I kind of, my I've always wanted to help people, kind of like same as Shakira, and that's just something I've always, I just want to be supported where I can, and be the best, friend or good family member, whatever it may be, sister, that I can be to others and just be there for them whenever they need me to.
And Andre, what is your superpower?
I would think kind of similar to what has already been said, but I think advising and mentoring are superpowers for me. I'm usually pretty good at listening and to providing support when I can. I'm also one of the first things I've learned is to also realize when I know that I can't do it and to refer out to support or other things. That was like one of the first things I was trying to do was like, it's okay to say that you can't do X and then send it out to where it should go. So yeah, I think those are kind of, I think those are all first gen qualities. It's also, Shaquita, to your point that we don't like to say about our good things. We like to not be proud about what we're doing, but I think that's important that we are. But yeah, but I think as first gen folks, one of our strengths is being good listeners, being willing to ask questions, be willing to be supportive of those around us.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us today. To our panelists, I really appreciate your gift of time and sharing your experiences. I hope that our guests have found that your stories are inspirational and they'll be able to take it and build on that in their academic journeys. To our guests, I encourage you to participate in the rest of the activities coming up for the rest of or I guess for the next week with the LU First Generation events. And let's see. And then lastly, I hope that everyone has a great weekend and take care and go cards.
Yay.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.